Welcome to another episode of the Saddle Up Show with Shaad and Destin. Oh man, OTAs. OTAs has officially ended. The dry season is now up on us. I know some of you was expecting one more practice session, but that has been canceled, and we'll talk to you why in a second. But like we start every show, Destin, my main man, how are you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I just want to shout out Colts OTAs coming to an end because the big boys can do more than just block and hit. Out there catching punts today. Shout out to the boys. Shout out to the big boys representing Big Boy
Did they
Nation.
say what two it was?
So I saw the post about it. I want to say one was the undrafted defensive tackle out of Illinois.
Okay.
Um, True. I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna find it. But yeah, I just had to shout that out real quick that the big boys representing.
Yeah, man, and we're gonna talk about OTAs, in a second. I figured we should start this show off with the tragic news about Daniel Scott, who Colts Twitter, I believe, tweeted a little over an hour ago, maybe 2 hours ago at this point, that he is officially placed on IR due to an ACL injury. And Daniel Scott was a guy that was selected in the fifth round, if I'm not mistaken, from the University of Cal, who was selected pretty much for his special teams. He spent 6 years at Cal, which I know is a long time for a college football player. He
The
utilized his
COVID years, man.
yeah, I
Those
was about to
COVID
say
years.
he utilized all of his extra eligibility. But in college he was a really good player, was a really good safety, was a team captain as well, had the respect of his entire locker room. And a lot of people like the way that transferred over to Indianapolis. He came with a business like approach. He was older than most of the rookies, so he conducted himself accordingly. And they had envisioned a big role for him on special teams, starting off immediately. And all of that has been lost. Pretty much a season down the drain for an older rookie. What was your thoughts, Destin, when you saw it initially?
I mean, it's always brutal when a guy's season ends before it even gets started.
Mm-hmm.
We just went through this past year with Drew Ogletree. He at least got to training camp.
Training camp, yeah.
Uh, we Daniel Scott really only got to get his toes wet. Barely got
Right.
to put the tip of his toes in the water. Rookie mini camp OTAs. Adam Schefter being the first to report that it is a torn ACL that's going to end his year. Thankfully, 2023 is not 2003. A torn ACL in 2003 was almost a career ender. In a sense, the recovery, getting back to your old self, and the explosion there is a big part of it. In 2023, the recovery for an ACL injury, the treatments that have gone into it are way more advanced than they used to be.
Mm-hmm.
So we're seeing more and more guys get back to their regular self after ACL tears. So definitely wishing Daniel a speedy recovery in what will be his true rookie season next year.
Yeah, and I think by this time next year, you'll see him out there jumping around and moving around as if surgery is successful and he goes through the proper rehab and everything goes well with that. Because, like you said, a full year after ACL tear and people are pretty much back to themselves. It takes typically an extra season, before the guy's actually really himself. But he'll be a fine player by next season if everything goes well with that. Okay, now let's talk about OTAs a little bit. OTAs, for those of you that don't know, I know we touched on it briefly, but the third day of the veteran minicamp was canceled because two, I believe, offensive linemen, right?
One defensive
One,
lineman, one offensive lineman. I still can't find who tweeted it out
they had to
earlier.
catch punts, and if they caught both of them, the last day of minicamp will be canceled, and they caught them both, man. And let me tell you something. As having a brother who's a former player, they love no more than to get to vacation a little bit early and get that head start and head away from the facility because they know this is the last hurrah, this last month. Because once they get back for training camp, it's all business for about the next 6 months. So they're pretty much locked in at that point. They're gonna go home and enjoy their families. They get to fly out of Indy a little earlier than they anticipated, and they're gonna head back to their respective homes, man. So what we could do is start off by talking a little bit about OTAs. If they had anything you wanted to talk about, well, we could start off with this. We'll start off with Anthony Richardson, quote unquote, struggling. We could just talk about the passing offense struggling as a whole. You know, pretty much same thing we even saw last year. In most years, when you got new quarterbacks, a new system being installed, the defense is always going to have a leg up, especially in a situation like this where the defensive staff stayed in place. And predominantly of the defensive players were the guys that was starting in that exact same system last season. So to have a new offense completely installed, a new quarterback, trying to figure it out. One's a rookie and one's a quarterback from another team that doesn't have a rapport with any of these guys. It's going to be difficult for that offense to get over on that defense. And I think that's what we're seeing early. Please don't be alarmed at quarterbacks struggling, in mandatory minicamp because this is the first time any of them have seen any of this. And I just don't want anybody to start panicking all of a sudden. I saw today Will Levis threw back-to-back picks in 11 on 11. Don't mean he's horrible. Do we like to see it because he plays for Tennessee? Of course. But, I mean, it in the grand scheme of things, it don't mean shit. Like, to be honest with you guys, like, I don't want to sugarcoat it. It don't mean nothing. Anthony Richardson, he has flashed some special ability, but he also has looked like a rookie that's only started 13 games in his collegiate career. So, you know, don't beat him up too much. Like I said, don't get too high on the highs, don't get too low on the lows. It'll be a pretty even kill experiences with some flashes and then some plays that reminds you of him actually being a rookie.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a part of the ride, man. Rookie
Yeah.
quarterbacks, new quarterbacks, when they go to new teams, often struggle when they are getting that rapport down, when they're trying to figure out the X's and O's part of the playbook. It's just always going to be a part of it. It's part of the reason the Colts have been pushing this stone down the road as often as they have, trying to avoid this element of it, and they've not been able to. So we're back, and Rashad's over here just trying to put some mute audio in here for us, I guess,
I
trying to
know,
pump it
right? I'm
up.
about to
But
get I'm about to get us straight taken off YouTube
yeah,
probably.
we're gonna get some copyright coming in. So the struggles don't really concern me. I think the
Yeah.
big thing to note, and I put this out yesterday, struggles, who cares? He's getting first team reps already. Like that tells me more about what the team looks at him as. CJ Stroud already getting first team reps. Bryce Young already first on the depth chart.
Yeah.
Like those things right there mean a lot. You mean Will Levis, quarterback one on the Colts board, according to the media. Hate to see it. I mean,
Hey Patrick, you miss mainstream media.
yeah,
That's what you miss.
very, very important word. Um,
National media.
But I think it's pretty telling that we're already seeing him getting first team reps. Gardner
Hmm.
has had the majority of first team reps, which I think was expected, but already getting Anthony Richardson accustomed in that route in that realm. The teammates have had nothing but great things to say about the ability that he's working with, the amount of dedication that the guy has. So it doesn't mean everything's going to click day one. A lot of quarterbacks come in early and struggle. So I think everyone should get their patience up.
Yep.
Everybody practice with what you got to do. Go drive in traffic.
Hmm.
Go to a restaurant that's going to be busy. Just start testing yourself in the patience world so you're ready come August.
Yeah, I think we got to make it to training camp, man. I think, when you get a rookie that's drafted this high, fourth overall, he's going to be heavily scrutinized. The pick is going to be heavily scrutinized, period, because it just was unexpected from what everybody, national media, wanted the coach to do. So everybody's looking at this under a microscope. It's going to be plenty of people that have the agenda to try to tear down Anthony Richardson. And then they're going to have people that have the agenda of just trying to build him up no matter what. So, it's important to just trust the people that you trust with delivering you information about what's going on. Whether that's any of the beat guys, the guys that cover the Colts. I was about to name a couple of athletic people, but I see that athletic is just on a spree, man. They're on a spree. Shout out to my guy James, though. He'll hold it down. I'm more than sure. I look forward to his coverage over there. But just trust who you trust, man, to give you the real about what they're seeing, what they're hearing, and about his development. Anthony Richardson. I'm sure we're going to see a different guy in training camp than we saw in mini camp the past couple of days. It's just all about progression. It's all about progression. And long as you steady see him on the incline, making the right steps forward and not stepping backwards, is the thing that I think is the most important. Any other notes from OTAs that you wanted to discuss? I mean, OTA mini camp is just so weird. It's not a lot you can really analyze, to be honest. You can't analyze anything in the trenches with the offensive and defensive lines, period. You pretty much have quarterbacks, receivers, skill positions, and then with most of the receivers being out, no Pittman, no Downs, Pierce did a couple things, but nothing of any significance really. The tight ends, Jelani wasn't there. It was just really hard to get any kind of evaluation from what you were seeing out there. But I don't know if you had any other tidbits that you want to mention from it.
Yeah, man. Until you get pads on, it's just a different world. I mean,
Yeah.
there are some shorts and short sleeve champions in the football world, but when you strap the pads on and you're actually playing in the 11-on-11, it gets a little different. So I don't put too much weight into anything this early. I put out a piece recently, kind of highlighting some different people that have been turning heads inside the Colts building. So feel
Mm-hmm.
free to check that out for some more details. But this podcast has been a big Darius Rush podcast, and from what I have heard, the Colts are pretty high on him as well. So that's just a little sneak peek to that article. Feel free to check that out. But um, Darius Rush, I'm really excited to kind of see what happens come training camp, because if I was a betting man, I'm starting to lean towards him being a starter week 1.
Okay. Uh, let's start off with some of these questions. We got a bunch of questions. Some of them that we can run through. I'm trying to screen them as we go here. I got one from Nick H. Let's start with him. His ad name is Straight Himalaya. I don't believe we've ever
Is
rated that.
Himalaya spelled correctly? Can we get a spell check?
I'm going to spell it in the chat so Destin can see it because I want you to see how it looked.
Yeah, I mean that's important. It's
Yeah.
an important element.
Okay. I'm not in the chat. Where is the chat?
Gotta love technical difficulties,
Oh, here we
but
go. I'm back.
I never doubted you.
See.
I knew you
Nah,
were here.
it sounds like you didn't believe in me.
I didn't not believe in you.
You see it? Look in the chat. That's it. Straight Himalaya.
Straight with the 8.
Yes.
So I'm not a numbers guy, but I do like when you play it well. So I
Yeah.
got to give credit there. Straight Himalaya. I would love for him to reach out and let us know where the Himalaya comes from. But just off the name, is very unique. I like the usage of it, the 8. I'm gonna be honest.
I know, because if you would have spelled out straight, that name would have been entirely too long.
Oh
So
yeah, like
he made use of the 8.
I I'm gonna
Okay.
go with 7. I'm gonna go with 7.
Going 7?
Yeah, I'm gonna go 7.
I'm into the him thing right now. Him
Yeah.
Duncan, Himmy Butler, Himthony
Hi- Not
Richardson.
not Hemi Butler after the finals though.
Oh no, that's it's awful. It's awful. But straight Himalaya, I'm going 7, 7.5. I'm going 7.5.
Oh, we got a
I'm going
high. We got a high one.
7.5, man. But this
Hey,
question is, with how thin the secondary looks right now, assuming Isaiah does indeed catch a suspension, would you sign a vet, and who would be your preference? Thanks, Nick.
Started off by saying he will indeed catch a suspension.
Yes.
Um,
A very violent one too.
would you sign a vet, and who would be your preference? I don't know, man. I mean, I think the smart thing, I think the logical thing is to sign someone. It's a very thin room, get some more bodies there. But my personal preference for this year is seeing what you have in these young guys. And if they look at these corners that they just drafted and think they have something there, the way you're only way you're going to find out is letting them play. So
Mhm.
I almost think you want to just roll with it with the punches. Is there going to be bumps? Sure, but I like the young group and I want to see what there is. I wouldn't be upset if they signed a vet though. I'd want it to be a vet that has some experience in this type of scheme. I'd want it to be someone that isn't going to have really a learning curve. If the whole point of getting them in here is so they can play, then I want it to be someone that's going to come in and be able to play. So obviously, I want the Raiders to cut a certain fan favorite Colts corner from this past year, and let him come back, Mr. Brandon Faison.
I was about to say why would the Raiders do that, but it would actually be beneficial to the Raiders. Okay. No need for me to answer it. If they added a veteran, I want it to be more of a depth add because I want the young guys to play. So that's why I stand on it. Another
And
question.
if you listen to last episode, Rashad is ready for his opportunity to play corner for the Colts, so that's actually his first preference.
6'1", 30, 30-inch arms. 30. Yeah, my wingspan's like it's not my arms are not that long. About 30 inches.
So Ballard's taking you off the board right now.
I know. I got like Isaiah Rogers' arms. I think his arms is like 31 though. He's pretty long for a guy that was his size. Uh, question from Michael Allen. His at name is at MA Bischoff 13. Has we ever rated his name?
I've
The
never
MA
heard
is
of that.
the MA is for Michael Allen. I'm gathering. And then Bischoff 13. I don't know why. Maybe he's a wrestling fan.
Maybe.
MA Bischoff 13. Okay, I'm cool with that. That's a six. That's a six for me.
Yeah, I'd say six is probably where I'd go.
Yeah. His question is Destin. Well, he don't have Destin in here, but I'm just saying. Destin. Will Big Mo be on the roster week 1?
I'm gonna say no. I think they're gonna roll with the youngins. I think it'll. I think it
Hot
could
take.
come. I think it could come down to a certain few people. I think in the tight end room, I think Jelani is the only person that I would say is in the lock category. I think Kylan Granson is the closest to that.
I think he's
Um,
really close to a
I think
lock.
he's
Yeah.
yes, I think he's
Kylan.
just looking out from it. I still think I'd be shocked if he didn't make the roster, but I don't think I'd put him in a lock. So
Mm-hmm.
then you'd see two other guys make it. I think you would probably lean towards having one blocker that
Yep.
has that. That's not going to be Mo Ali Cox as your primary blocker. So then, do they go Will Mallory? Do they go Mo Ali Cox? They Drew Ogletree. Like I think you keep four. I think you keep four tight ends, and I just keep looking
I
at these
think
young
that's
guys
fair.
and the upside that you have there. And I just don't think Mo Ali Cox offers you a significant trait that you look at and say these other guys can't do that. I don't think he has that. So I do think he's going to end up being a cap casualty.
I'm gonna say yes, and the only reason I'm going to say yes is because to this time period that these last 9 practices that Will Mallory was in a boot, it's gonna hurt. These practices that Drew Ogletree missed, it's gonna hurt. These guys are not gonna be able to show their worth until training camp. Hopefully, hopefully. I think that's gonna affect them. And if they was out here playing and participating in all of these practices that just passed, I would have said yes in a heartbeat because these guys had the chance to show off, what they can do. But coach, yeah, I don't know, man. I'm gonna say yes for now because I just don't believe in any of the other guys at this point right now. I think Jelani will be there. I think Colin will be there. I do think they go with a blocking type guy. Um, and that's a battle within itself. It's about 3 tight ends competing for that spot alone. and I do think they land on Mo Cox as the fourth. Not saying it'll be in that order as far on the depth chart, but I think he'd be the fourth guy.
It's
But
possible. It's
and I think
possible.
will, and it probably will Mallory or Drew Ogletree goes to practice squad or something like that, and you sort it out from there.
You probably have a better chance of getting Drew on the practice squad than Mallory.
Probably so. Probably so. Okay, next question from at the J plus plus. It's a lot of new people asking us questions. I appreciate it too. We
He has
appreciate you
two
guys.
pluses in his at name.
And it's spelled out. It's the word plus plus. It's T
I
H
was,
E
well,
J A
that makes a
Y.
little more sense because I didn't even know you could have a plus sign in your at. I was really confused. I'm gonna
Nah,
be honest.
his Twitter name is actually two plus signs, but then his at name is at the J plus plus.
Huh.
His question is Shaquille Leonard misses the entire season again, would you cut him? His dead cap would only be 12 million after this year.
So at the J plus plus. I mean, it being in your name, I guess, makes it to where like maybe there's some significance to it. So I'll stick with my usual go-to with the 6.5. I'll stick with it. I'll stick with 6.5.
I got a six. I'm going with a six.
Now to the
Until I get some, explanation on why the at name is what it is. I can't move off of six. But go ahead.
now to the question. I don't. I mean, cutting Shaquille Leonard doesn't give you it like you get some cap relief, but not enough cap relief to where it really warrants the negatives that are going to come with that. I mean, Shaquille is loved in the locker room. Shaquille is a leader in that locker room. So, like, his injury would have to come out to be just something that they do not believe is comebackable for them to just
Yeah.
flat out cut him. I also think there's a market for almost every, like, you see players traded all the time that have crazy contracts. So, I think Shaquille Leonard is a notable name enough to where if they got to the point where moving off him was where they were going to go, they would get
Mm-hmm.
something. It may not be something that warrants his name
Yeah.
value. Like you're not going to get a first, second, or anything like that. But I think worst case scenario, he would be traded next year before he was cut. But I think he's going to end up playing this year. I don't think it'll be the whole season. I do think he could end up missing some time. I think they could be a little bit more cautious with him, knowing the reality of this roster right now, but I do not think he would be cut after the year either way.
Yeah, I think it's impossible for you to cut that guy. Like the blowbacks that'll come in that locker room to do him that way. I know fans are frustrated with him because he has missed the entire season, pretty much last season. But let's not forget who we're talking about here. A guy that was on pace for the Hall of Fame his first 3-4 years in the league. I can't just you can't just throw him to the side like that. I mean, even if you traded him, the blowback would probably be bad, pretty bad. But if you cut him, it'd be craziness. I think it's a 0% chance he get cut. I do appreciate the question though, because I know a lot of fans are at their wits end with him and are frustrated, but it just can't come to that. Like it just can't get that bad. But I think he'll be back this year. Though. I think he'll be back this year, and I think he's going to surprise some people. I don't like to talk about what I hear as far as how his rehab's going because then if it doesn't go the right way, then you guys are pissed off. So I just kind of like keeps the stuff I hear about Shaq pretty much to myself because
Just
he's such a
just let
sensitive
guys
topic.
rehab,
Yeah,
just let people rehab, let
yeah,
people figure out when it gets there. Question here from inside the shoe, and then we'll get back to the Twitter questions. What do
gotcha.
y'all think about adding DJ Fluger to the roster? Have y'all seen his progress in weight loss? I wanted to ask this because Shaad got to be live at the Alabama Pro Day. He got to see the man up close and personal.
Yeah, yeah. What up, Noah? Noah just walked in, but yeah. Shout out to Inside the Shoe. Great question. I had a chance to see DJ Fluker up close, as Destin just referenced, because look at my wife. My wife being awesome. Look at her. Be great. Bought me a Coke. Um, but yeah, I saw him up close, man. the weight transformation was just phenomenal. Like the shape he looked in, his body looked incredible. The way he was moving, he looked really good. For some strange reason, NFL organizations and staffs, they kind of don't like retreads. Once you get out the league, it's extremely hard for you to get back in the league. Like you have to go above and beyond to make your way back to the NFL. That's why it's such a big deal when you see these redemption stories, because it's extremely hard for these guys behind the scenes. Like DJ Fluker clearly looked like the best offensive lineman at that pro day, but teams are going to draft these guys that's coming out of college and give them opportunities over a guy like DJ Fluker who's older, and they feel like they saw his best days, but he's completely transformed his body, and I think he can do well as maybe as a depth guy. I don't think he's gonna come in and start anywhere. I don't think he's gonna come in depending on DJ Fluker to give you significant production and snaps. If that's the state your offensive line is in, it's probably not a very good offensive line. But I think he can be a serviceable guy, come in and give you snaps with position flexibility. I think he can go to either side at tackle. I do think he's strong enough to go to guard. He's not the biggest guy for a guard, but I think he has that type of strength. Seeing him at the pro day, he was phenomenal, man. His shape was incredible.
I mean, you'd be shocked how many teams are in need of true depth linemen right now.
Yeah.
There are some rough players in the NFL right now that are on rosters as depth linemen. So I think a team is going to take a flyer on him. I'm curious
hmm
to see where that would be. Probably maybe somewhere that has a little bit more of a relationship with him past wise, whether that's a coach, whether that's a player, finding
Yep.
some form of common ground would probably make the most sense for him in his camp. If I had to guess for this retread of his
hmm
career that he's about to go down. So I don't know if it'll be here. And I think the Colts, if they were gonna go the offensive lineman route, I mean, there's still some guys out there, but it's interesting that they haven't, because I heard early on that they had have some form of conversation with certain guards that were on the market. They elected not to go that route. They did not draft one, but signed a primary undrafted free agent, a highly sought after undrafted
hmm
free agent, and Emil Ekiyor out of Alabama, Emil Ekiyor Jr. out of Alabama, Indy native. So I think we're going to get to training camp and they're going to see what they got with these guys a little bit more in depth, and we'll see the roster cuts come down. We'll see some injuries happen here and across the league that could open some doors for some of the other vets on the market.
Yep. Next question is from Tyrese Halliburton. Tyrese Halliburton.
Our boy.
It's funny, man. I don't think we rated his ad name though, right?
Is it? Did he legit get the Tyrese Halliburton like at?
Nah, it's Tyrese Halliburton.
Uh
Yeah. So
well,
he the good version.
Tyrese, if you're out there, I appreciate all you do for the for the Indiana Pacers, but the Indianapolis area, really, really, really love me some Tyrese Halliburton. You can go to the question now.
Okay. Any update on Isaiah Rodgers? You want to take this or you want me to take it?
I mean, update is a hard one. I mean, we if you want to go check out a little bit of everything that we had on the topic, you can go listen to our episode from last week. We kind of touch a little bit on everything we had heard up to the point and after. I don't think this report comes out unless there is enough substance to where a suspension happens. So I'd be
Mm.
shocked if a suspension does not come down. So I'll start there. And what is
Oh no, a
next?
suspension is coming down.
And whatever comes after that, it's hard to predict. I mean, a lot of things could go. If the suspension comes down
This
to
is
being,
hilarious.
and it's just incorrect, Patrick. Don't make me say your last name incorrectly after I finally learned how to say it. But I, I think with the Roger situation, we're probably going to see an indefinite suspension come. Wait for a year, let people get more facts into the thing where he may get to apply for reinstatement. It'll be interesting to see if the suspension does come, when it comes, I should say, what the Colts' reaction would be. because we've seen in the past when people get into these kind of situations, it's not necessarily gambling, but off the field issues. The Colts have severed ties with players before. So we'll see how the Colts' reaction is and where this goes. But it, I think to say his Colts career is up in the air would be an understatement.
Yeah. I did want to address this inside the shoe. Said, what do y'all think of the Rays supposedly signing Peter soon? A definite Hayward pickup. I wouldn't say definite. I don't think he was able to pass a physical. I'm not sure Hayward's completely healthy either. Fresh off his season with the Falcons, I know the Falcons was looking at bringing him back under a cheaper deal, but they didn't because I think he failed the physical. If I'm not mistaken. Um, but the Raiders had to sign him because currently their starting cornerbacks was Duke Shelley and Brandon Faishon. I don't even think they got awarded Marcus Peters. Let's look at it like that. Like Marcus Peters was called and told he had to report to Vegas to play for the Raiders because they could not roll out Brandon Faishon and Duke Shelley
I'm
as their
pretty sure it's
starting
actually
corner.
illegal.
Yeah,
It's against the NFLPA to put that poor of a lineup out there. They don't want to be putting that public display out there. But and I think the second part of that question was a definite Hayward pickup incoming. I mean, he could. I mean, Hayward has some experience playing with Gus, so if that's the route they decided to go, it definitely could. Um, I think about Fabian Moreau a lot, though. I still think if they're gonna go get a vet, that's who I like the most.
I think I would in that situation I probably would prefer Hayward because Moreau's definitely gonna take snaps from young and
I mean,
like he's gonna play. He's gonna play and he's gonna play pretty solid actually. Hayward's the guy that I think just gonna be there for a mentoring.
moral
Yeah,
support.
yeah, mentoring. His best days are long gone. He definitely lost a step. Right. That's what he's gonna get paid to do. Clap, talk the young guys up. We have a question from Will Levis guy. Will Levis guy at Kush in my blunts. He says, "Are you guys signing JT to a 4+ year deal that resets the market?" Okay, this is controversial. So I'll go first. I'll save my brother Destin from having to say it. I'll do it, Destin, because you're my brother. I even have you on my shirt somewhere. My
That's my
saddle up
yeah, my
shirt.
my, my
You
name's
see your
on there,
name?
right?
Yes, it's on there somewhere. Can you see it?
Yeah, I see it. I see it.
Okay, cool. Um, no, I'm not. I'm gonna say that. I do want to extend Jonathan Taylor. I am on that side of the fence of extending him, but 2 to 3 years is 2 3 years max is what I'm going with, and I think the coach should draw a hard line at whatever number they're comfortable with. I can't tell you what that number is, but I don't think it should reset the market. I'm not going above. I'm not making him the highest paid running back in the NFL.
There's,
For a
there's
couple of
there's there's
reasons.
just no chance he doesn't become the highest paid running back in the NFL, though. There's just no chance.
No, I know, but I'm just saying what I would do personally. Yeah, no, I think you would have you would have a number, maybe about 14, 15. But the highest paid, I believe, is McCaffrey above 16, right?
I mean, he's the most recent top name to get a contract that's not in the form of after being released because that's going to hit
Yeah.
your market. So that's my guess is he's the highest paid. But I mean, I guess I look at it from this route. When it comes to the paying running back situation, like you have to be in a situation to where you can do it because of how your roster is built. Anthony Richardson is not going to have to be paid for 5 years. So the Jonathan Taylor contract, no matter what you give him, because let's say you give him 5, which I don't think is going to be the year. I personally think it's going to be a 3 or 4 year situation for Jonathan Taylor. I don't think he would take less than 3. I don't think his new representation would agree to less than 3. And I could see him wanting 5, but I can't see the Colts going over 4. But
Yes, McCaffrey at 16.
so to me, every time a notable player of a position, which when I say notable, I'm gonna say if you are a fringe top 5, definite top 10 guy at a position, you're normally especially if you're on the younger side of your career. The goal and the goal for that player and his representation is going to be to reset the market in one of two ways or both, whether that is the average salary or that is the total price of said contract.
Right. Over a certain period of time.
Yeah, like because if you do a certain length of a contract, you can be the highest gross paid running back total, etc. Or you can have the highest per year, or you could have both. So I think one of those two is going to happen. My guess is it's going to come down to the year. The per year is what Taylor will get the most out of. So you give him 17, 16 and a half over 3 years. That ends up being some quick math. So
48,
yes,
48 million.
so 17 over 3 years would be 51. 17 over 4 years would be 68. Like that does
Mm.
not sound out of the question to me. Like that type of deal getting done. I don't know what that exact message that he put out was in that tweet. I didn't see it. Did he say 4 years 90?
Who said that?
That tweet that you just read when they were
Oh
asking us
no,
what we
they.
would do.
Oh, he didn't have a number
Okay.
associated in the tweet I saw. Hell, wait, what? It just said, "Are you guys signing JT to a 4+ year deal that resets the market?" That's it. He didn't have a number in it. I don't
Okay.
know if he made
I,
another tweet
I've I've
with a
I've
number
seen.
in it.
Well, it may not have been him. I've seen some people that have been throwing out those numbers. I don't think it'll be that high, but if 16 and a half is what the current highest paid is, you go up a quarter of a million or half a million, so 16.75, 17 a year over 3 to 4 years. That's probably what I'd expect the extension ends up being. And because of the way the roster is set up, you have youth on both tackle positions for the future potentially. You have a rookie quarterback under contract, a lot of youth in the receiver room, a lot of youth in the corner room, a lot of youth at the defensive end room, edge room. Like you're in a spot right now to where you can give money to a running back because whatever deal you give Taylor is off the books by the time you're having to pay these big names that you're going to have to pay. So I don't think it matters as much as some people think it does because this isn't Buffalo. This isn't Kansas City right now. This isn't Cincinnati. Go to Cincinnati with Joe Mixon, for example. There's no chance they can pay him. There's no chance with the amount of guys that they have to pay coming up that you can put that type of financial hold on the running back. The Colts just aren't in that same situation to where whatever you give him is going to be off the books by the time you need it.
Yeah, I the only problem I have with making Jonathan Taylor like the highest paid over a long period of time is he have a lot of mileage on his body. When you look at how much Wisconsin ran him in college, he had an NFL workload in college, and then when he came to the league, he's been doing some heavy lifting when he has been healthy. There was the injury concern. I'm not going crazy over that. He's a guy that's never really been hurt, so this is new. Um, but it's third downs for me. Jonathan Taylor has to become better at pass protecting and receiving out of the backfield because the guys that are making the big money, they're contributing on those third downs. So Christian McCaffrey, the Elvin Kamara, those guys are weapons on third down. Jonathan Taylor has to make progress in those areas for me to be comfortable with making him the highest paid running back in the league. It's not a matter of spending on a running back because, like you said, we have a rookie quarterback now. I'm fine with it. We don't have to pay the quarterback until 4 or 5 years down the road if all goes well. So I'm fine with that. It's him becoming more of an asset in the passing game and on third downs because that's what the top backs are doing these days. So that's my only thing with it.
Yeah, I get it.
So let's see where we at. Do we have any more questions? I don't know if we do. Yeah, people ask me about Isaiah Rodgers. We covered that.
A lot of Isaiah Rodgers.
A lot of Isaiah Rodgers. Logan Logan asks, any update on Josh Downs? Will he be ready by training camp? Everything I've heard is that he will be ready by training camp. He will be cleared to play. He would be actually ready a little bit earlier than training camp, but there's nothing going on. So
I've heard most people that were held out of OTAs that were surprise names. So I mean,
mhm.
just to like simplify that for everybody, like Shaquille Leonard was not expected to be out there for multiple reasons, but the rehabbing issue going on, that's obviously he wasn't going to be out there. Jonathan Taylor going through new representation, looking for a new contract, doesn't need to be out there. Like those type of things, like people missing, isn't that shocking. Everyone else that I've heard that is missing time right now via injury, they expect to be ready to go during training camp. The Julius Brents, they believe he's going to be at least able to participate in part time right away at training camp.
Mm-hmm.
Darius Rush's injury, tried to give it a go today. I heard ended up deciding just to be safe with it. They feel like he's going to be good to go. Michael Pittman, Alec Pierce go down the line. Josh Downs, who had a little bit of a knee issue that came up during the rookie mini camp area near the end of that. So they think he'll be back ready for training camp. I'm trying to think if there's any other names here of notability.
I think Zach Moss had a child, so I want to say congratulations
That's pretty
to
important.
Zach Moss. I see Inside the Shoe just asked about him. Thoughts on Moss being missing? Who's next? Hall. Yeah. So I want to say shout out to Zach Moss. Congratulations to the Moss family. I believe he had a child, and that's why he's been out this week. So didn't want to say that. Wanted to mention that.
And he said, "Who's next?" Hole. I mean, Evan Hole, I think, has a good shot at making the roster. Don't sleep on Xavier Scott. Don't sleep on undrafted free agent Xavier Scott. Has been working with the receivers and running backs, but he has the most vast special teams experience of any running back that's going to be on this Colts roster, in the sense of his full resume in college. I mean, Deion Jackson has some experience in the NFL, but Xavier Scott, I think, is a real threat to make the roster as a running back.
Yep, I agree. I agree. That's your boy. You've been talking about hyping him up behind the scenes for a while now.
You always gotta like that versatility, man. Like whenever you see a guy that does that many things, I mean, he's gotta have a chance. And from what I've heard of the undrafted guys that have been able to get on the field so far, he's just been the one that has turned the most heads in the sense of them thinking, man, that this guy has a real chance.
Okay, I'll ask one more question. We had one more on the Twitter from my guy TJ at Coach Player 22. I believe we rated
Yeah.
exactly. He said one coach had to join the bloodline for the wrestling fans out there. Who would it be? Destin, I know you know who the bloodline is.
Of course, of
I
course.
want it. I want an answer.
So which side? So if you're up with recent events in the WWE, everybody that's listening, which side?
It would definitely
This
be the
person.
Roman side, and
Okay, so
not the
this
Uso side.
so this person's joining Roman and Solo in the Wise Man.
Yes.
I mean, nationality wise, it feels like DeForest Buckner would probably like be in the closest realm, having the Hawaiian roots, so being
Mm-hmm.
semi similar in that realm of things. And DeForest Buckner is huge.
Yeah. Yeah.
DeForest Buckner would be out there like challenging like the Omoses of the WWE, like
And you
big
would
old
think,
boy.
right, the whoever they add will have to be pretty much a tag partner with Solo, right? So you want a guy that kind of matches Solo because they'll be the enforcers of the team, with protecting Roman. I think Buckner's pretty good. I think that's a good answer. I like Buckner. I like Buckner.
I mean, I just think that's probably the one that makes the most sense. So I mean, that's
Hmm.
the easy one. If you're just asking me like which personality would I want to be in the WWE the most, I mean,
All
Michael
my
Pittman's
personalities.
hilarious.
I like Zaire Franklin from a personality
Zaire
standpoint.
Zaire Frank. I mean, there would probably be fun, little chaotic but fun.
Yes, I think Shaq want to do that too. I think Shaq wants to.
If Solo needed to go take a break for a little while and they needed like that quiet but deadly person to take over, I'd go Big Q.
Big Q be perfect. Even down to the look. I think they can. I think they can get him right as far as his personality. You don't need to give him a mic, but then when you have Heyman, you don't need a mic anyway. Heyman will do
Exactly.
all the talking. Heyman will do all the talking. He does it for Roman. But so, uh, okay, I'm good with that. Shaq loves wrestling though. He definitely would be into that. We need him to get right though. He can't go wrestle. Shaq, you can't
Yeah,
go
to
wrestle.
say, yeah, you can't be doing anything
You
right
can't.
now.
No, no.
We're
You
on
can't do
lockdown
anything. Do anything but rehab, Shaq. That's it. Don't even sleep. Just rehab.
and being a dad.
That's it. You're allowed to be a dad.
Yeah, we won't take that away.
Right. But if you guys don't have anything, let me see if there's anything in the chat. Uh will the coach cut or waive one of the vet? You must have came in here late, CMDSR. You must
You
have
have to
came.
go back and you'll see our answer.
Yeah.
But
Go listen to
the
earlier the
short
episode.
answer is the Colts are taking 35 tight ends into training camp, so they're going to have to cut some. Oh,
Oh,
we got a at the buzzer super chat from
Pat made us
Patrick.
stay longer. Pat wanted the show to last longer because we was definitely about to end it just now, but
We was out of here, but chances
we
of D Hop
was.
going to Tennessee, and does that mean they hilariously end up last anyway? Regardless, Titans are mud butt. Uh, had to say what I had to read the entire message. It's the rules.
I'm glad you read it though. That was funny as hell. I'm glad.
I don't think DeAndre. I mean, I don't think DeAndre Hopkins changes moves the needle overall for Tennessee in a way that it would matter a whole lot. I mean, that receiver room is awful, and D Hop would adding that type of receiver to that room would be nice. Don't get me wrong, but I think there are just way more important things that kind of have to get figured out in Tennessee. It's a very confusing roster build right now. So
It
going to sign
is.
D Hop after they deconstructed certain parts of the roster that kind of looked like they were pointing more towards a rebuild, and it's weird. Like
With
Tennessee,
D
I don't think he goes there though. I
with,
don't think he ends
I
up in
don't think he
Tennessee.
go. I don't think he goes there either. And with D Hop, I still think they're bottom 10 receiving room in the NFL.
Oh, God, I mean, gotta
Like with D Hop. So the offensive line is freaking terrible. Like the offensive line is awful. They still have Derrick Henry. He's gonna fall off a cliff soon. Like that offense, new OC, new system they're installing.
Is it
I
a new
just
OC though? They just promoted from within.
well,
It's
yeah.
gonna be it's gonna be the same sorry slow style of offense.
That
Derek
offense ain't been good since what's my guy, Atlanta's coach, who's calling plays for them.
Arthur Smith.
Arthur Smith, yeah. That's the last time.
I said they were the highest scoring offense in the league 2 3 years ago.
Yeah, that's when Arthur Smith last year. That's what
Yeah,
got him the head coaching job for the Falcons. And that offense just hasn't been good since. So uh nah, Tennessee sucks.
I if he ends up in New England, that's interesting just because of storyline wise. But I think when it's all said and done, he's still going to go to a natural born contender. I think these other visits are just doing some work for him that he needs to be doing.
These
Um,
leverage moves, man. Let's
I
be honest here.
I think he ends up in Buffalo, Kansas
Mm-mm.
City, maybe the
Don't fit.
Jets, maybe the Jets with the Aaron Rodgers stuff going on. Maybe the
Maybe
Browns,
maybe
maybe the
Detroit.
Browns.
Maybe Detroit. I could see Detroit.
I mean, Detroit has like 3 receivers suspended, so
Yeah.
they could
Yeah.
add somebody, but I
Amon
think
Ra.
my top
Amon.
four would be Buffalo, Kansas City, Cleveland, the Jets. And maybe if I had to go a fifth, I'd go the Patriots. But
Over Detroit?
but,
Patriots over Detroit? This is
I mean,
what you think
there's
or
just
what you rather see.
what I would just see. I'm not saying what I'd rather see. I'm just saying like what I think could happen.
Oh, okay.
I
I
mean,
thought you was talking about what you. Oh, okay.
people are already speaking that there's like some people that think that the deal between the Patriots and D Hop could get done while on this visit. So I mean, they're going to be fifth for me, but I think those other four teams, just contender wise, just match up more with where D Hop is at in his career. And then Cleveland, obviously, with Deshaun Watson, they have a already built rapport. So like that connection kind of has to be brought up
Mm,
to where it could happen. But I wouldn't say Cleveland's on the same level of contenders of those other teams I said.
no, I don't think so either. And it determines. It depends entirely on how that guy performs. I won't say his name, but as far as I seen Philly, like really, don't you have enough Philly? You don't need DeAndre Hopkins. You have enough. You're already spending the most cash in the league. At some point, it becomes overkill. But I do think him with the Lions, him with Amon-Ra St. Brown, and then when Jameson Williams come back, there'll be a tough offense, man. There'll be a tough offense. But I guess that's gonna wrap it up. Destin, did you have anything you want to say to the people before we checked out?
No, I mean we're definitely entering the slow period. You're not going to see Colts videos of practice. Um, it's going to be a lot of individual stuff going forward, but make sure you guys are checking out Horseshoe Huddle, Colts on FN. We're going to be bringing you guys as much content that we can find. I have a few things on tap that I'm going to be running over the next couple of weeks. So we're not going to let you go without. You're going to get your fix of Colts. We promise.
Yeah, man. Shout out to the whole team over there, Horseshoe Huddle, all the guys over there. We will see you guys next week. Peace.